Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. It's Paulie, Esther here, and today's Thursday, so there was a Dead by Daylight developer stream today, so we're going to talk about that and try and condense and digest it for you. So here we go. So today's stream was a lot of repeating of what was talked about last week. It started out with Matthew Cote, finger guns confirmed, talking about the PlayStation Experience event in Anaheim, California this weekend. And then he went on to talk about some things that we discussed last week, which were the console players getting the free items for the anniversary of the game that PC received this past June, and that head case is going to be available for all of you to purchase on console if you want those items. So just to remind you again, the anniversary items were the Dweirder head and the machete for the Trapper. Then we went into the old school windbreaker for Claudette and the marked Bloodlust axe for the Wraith. Old Man Jake head for Jake Park and the marked Spike Maul for the Hillbilly. Nea Carlson gets the yellow classic sleeveless tank top and the marked bridle saw for your nurse. And finally, we have the red trim leather hoodie for Meg and the Iron Chuckles mask for the Trapper. So those are all going to be free for console players, and then you will have the option to buy the head case items. The head case items, you'll remember, are 12 heads that you can buy for Dwight, Meg, Nea, Ace, Claudette, and Jake. 2 heads for each of them for the first 6 survivors. So you can get the preppy flat cap and the millennial Dwight for Dwight. Tier 3 braids for Meg, or the jogging headband for Meg. Nea has the night out Nea with the 2-tone hair, or the melanade head, which her hat looks like a watermelon. And then we have Panama hat for Ace, or the Tom Stash. Claudette has the Myopian Frohawk, or the colorful headscarf. And Jake has the Modern Explorer beanie, or the Jake bun. You've probably seen the Jake bun most commonly in Monto's videos, because he rocks the Jake bun, because he kind of has a Jake bun. So anyway, those are going to be available to purchase for you very soon. I would think within the next week is my guess. And the pricing is going to be similar to what people are paying for it on Steam. So you'll pay that price on consoles. So then they went into the slides. Not a lot has changed on the slides. For the roadmap, this is the same as what we saw last week. Wraith update. It's no longer being called the Wraith Cube. The winter event, and then we're still waiting on the PTB. They said the PTB, which is the public test build, which allows people on PC to play a test version of the game for no points, just to test out the new system, and it gives the developers data to see how the system is working and if there needs to be any changes made before they roll it out as the actual game build. Usually the PTB runs for about a week, and they haven't determined a date on that yet. They're deciding whether they want it to happen before or after the holidays. I mean, a week before the holidays, it's getting kind of close. They do want to get a lot of players in the PTB participating in it so that they can have quite a bit of data to go through to see how it's working. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking maybe we won't see PTB until January, because I don't know, if they roll it out in another week, I guess they could get it done before Christmas, but it's getting tight. So at this point, I think maybe the PTB won't be until the new year, but we'll have to see. The first 2 things, the Wraith update and the winter event, are completed and ready to go. The patch 1.8.3 contains both of these items, the Wraith update and the winter event for Atmosphere. It's ready to go, but we're waiting on certification by Sony and Microsoft. And to Dead by Daylight's credit, they want to try and do a simultaneous release this time. So all you console players who think, man, we have to wait 2 weeks after because we feel picked on or we're second-class citizens, they're really trying here. I think a simultaneous release is pretty cool. If they roll this out to everybody at the same time, kudos to them. And it looks like that's what's going to happen, because they said that the update is ready to go. They could just flip the switch for PC players right now, but they want to wait and get the certification through with Sony and Microsoft so that PS4 and Xbox players can all enjoy it at the same time, rather than sitting back and watching the PC players play it and wondering, when do I get to do it? So that'd be pretty cool if we all get it at the same time. And there was a question in the Q&A where somebody said, hey, remember last Halloween where we got the glowing eyes for the Trapper and the Hillbilly and the Wraith? How come we can't get glowing eyes for the Huntress and the Doctor and the Hag? And they said, well, no, we're not going to go back and give you the glowing eyes for, I think this was called All Hallows Eyes, for the glowing eye options for certain killers. So no, we're not going to go back and change those. But we have something pretty cool coming up, which we may see in the winter event. And they said, well, I asked if I could sneak it. Again, Matthew said, can we sneak it? And they said no. So we don't know what's coming, but it seems very likely that there are some new killer cosmetics coming with this winter update. So I want to see what that's all about. It sounds pretty neat. I'm still pulling for my girl, Lisa Sherwood here. Happy holidays. But I don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to whatever the winter update has to offer. I just really want to see that atmosphere. I think it's going to be really, really cool. And Matthew himself said that this next update is going to be pretty good. I think he's rating it as a 10 out of 10. Pretty good job so far, whatever this winter update holds for us. We're all going to enjoy it, I'm sure. And then for some of the other slides they showed us, they talked about the top 5 perks being used by survivors, and they broke it down by what system you use, either PC or PS4 or Xbox. And then they showed an average of what everyone uses, and then what the rank ones use. And of course, self-care is across the board being used by every level of player on every platform. And they talked about how it's being a crutch perk, and really for the first 10 months I never used self-care when I played the game. I just had to survive on my own or on the kindness of others. I had to find a medkit in a chest, or I had to run across somebody else to heal me. And then once I started playing with more people on voice, they were always saying, you don't have self-care? Like, I felt like a second-class citizen, that they were like, man, I always have to heal you. When are you going to get some self-care so that you can take care of yourself and be self-sufficient instead of relying on me to heal you all the time? And I was like, okay, I guess I got to level up my Claudette and unlock this Teachable so I can get self-care on everybody. I don't know. But, I don't know. I just kind of, they talked about it's a crutch perk, and I always felt that way too. And personally, I don't think you should be able to infinitely heal yourself with self-care. But that's me. I don't know. Will that ever change? They talked about if they ever took that away, that the offices would be bombarded with people with torches and pitchforks over losing self-care. So I think at this point, so many people are reliant on that perk that they are afraid to change it, honestly. But anyway, so I don't think there are any surprises on here what's being used by anyone. Oh, is pharmacy on there? No, nobody's using pharmacy. I didn't think so. And so then for the killer perks, this has changed because they haven't done one of these top used killer perks in a while. Definitely not since Leatherface was introduced, and that shows you just how good Leatherface's perks that they rolled out were, that so many people are using the barbecue and chili because it is such a valuable perk. I think Leatherface's perks are pretty darn good, honestly. So the proof is in the pudding there, how many people are using that barbecue and chili. Between the Franklin's demise to knock those annoying items out of survivors' hands and the barbecue and chili, Leatherface brought some very valuable tools to the table for the killers. And then the next slide here is called the Dangerosity of Maps. Ooh, bright. And then it shows the 22 maps in all the realms, and it shows the average number of escapees per map. All the way on the right-hand side, you'll see that the highest rate of survival is for the 2 swamp maps, the Grim Pantry and the Pale Rose, all the way on the right-hand side. While the deadliest map would seem to be a neck-and-neck tie between the third one here. It's called England Street, Robert Englund Street, I don't know. But that's the Badham Preschool. And then this green one that drops down the lowest, that is the Treatment Theater for the Laray's Institute map. I don't know, this is kind of vague. Where are we supposed to read these from? By the black line in the middle of the sliders and one of these dots at the top? I don't know. Like, this presentation is really strange to me. Am I reading it on the black line? Why are some sliders taller than others? I don't understand. Like, this one has 3 black dots on it. What does that mean? I don't know. Anyway, so the farm ones also are pretty high in survival rate just because it's hard to find people in the corn. And then in the middle here, after the green hospital one, you see these are the McMillan estate. And then after that, in the blue and purples, we have the junkyards, Azarov's. And then this one here, this third from the end, Sub Street, I believe that one's Haddonfield and Lampkin Lane. Sub Street? I don't know why they have these code names, but just looking at the other names of the maps, that's all I can figure out, that one must be Haddonfield. Asylum's all the way here on the left. Second one is the Mother's Dwelling, Ma House. That's got to be Mother's Dwelling, right? Anyway, so there, if you're a statistics person, you can check that out and see which maps have the highest rate of survival. And then for the final half hour of the dev stream, they had a guest panelist, just like they did the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, you may remember that they had Andrea come in, and she showed us how she created the Sally O'Lantern head for the Halloween atmospheric update. And last week, McLean came in, and he talked to us about programming and showed us how they create perks for the game and code them. And this week we had an animator come in named Sebastian, finger guns confirmed, and he showed us how they come up with the animations for the Moris, and you go from a concept like this with the Huntress, with delivering the axe blow to the head, that's Sebastian there, and they just shot video of this to figure out how they wanted to block it out in animation afterwards, and it would go from something like this to this, and then finally this. Well, I guess this is still more preliminary. And then he showed us like the armature and the rigging, the skeletons underneath, all of the animation for the characters. And yeah, it was fairly interesting. I mean, if you're into animation, I would definitely go back and have a look at that last half hour. And but I'm not going to go over that, just like I didn't go in depth in the last 2 weeks about those presentations. It's there if you want to see it, but it really isn't newsworthy or relevant to news coming up for the game. But it was very interesting to see how they have the skeletons and how some of the characters use the same skeletons. In fact, he did say that Myers, Trapper, and Hillbilly all run on the same rig. So that might be why in the video that I have for the 2-killer glitch, why you see the Hillbilly no problem step into a trap and reset a trap, because he runs under the same rig. While he did also mention that the Hag and the Nurse run on completely separate skeletal rigs. So they, if we ever did the 2-killer glitch with one of them, they may not be able to step in the Trapper Trap or set the Trapper Trap. I think the Huntress is also built on the same rig as Trapper, because he said characters are the same size, they put them on the same rig. And we know that the Huntress can set traps because I have seen video of it in the game where Huntress loads into a game and there are traps everywhere and she can start placing them no problem as the Traptress. So anyway, that was fairly interesting. I'll leave it up to you if you decide you want to go over to the dev stream and check it out. And probably the coolest thing that came out of Sebastian's presentation is he showed the mock-up of modeling the figure for the Huntress, and people in chat said, hey, can you take the mask off of her? And he said, yeah, sure. So he did that, and we got to see what the Huntress looks like underneath the mask, which was pretty cool. He removed the mask from the front and the veil from the back, and that's what her character model looks like underneath the mask. So that was pretty cool. And it wasn't that far off from this image that I saw somebody had airbrushed a while back. It's actually pretty well spot on. Looks like the Huntress to me. Exactly what they showed. So I thought that was a pretty cool part of the presentation. People were very excited. So that wraps it up for this week. I expect we'll have a whole lot more to talk about once the 1.8.3 patch rolls out for everyone, which will include the Wraith buffs and the Winter Atmospheric Update. Winter's coming, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.